According to newhomesource.com, California, Florida, and Texas top the list with the highest numbers of HOAs and residents living in HOA communities. A whopping 45.6% of Florida residents live in an HOA, according to New Home Source. So chances are you live in an HOA or someone close to you does. I live in one myself. South Florida is full of them. Down here, you're hard-pressed to find an area that does not have one, in my experience. Ours is just a tiny townhome community. It's not fancy or gated, but rules are rules. For the longest time, I tried to fight them. Spoiler alert, that does not work. Eventually, I matured and learned how to work as a team with the board to create the garden I envisioned while still obeying the rules set out by my HOA. Disclaimer, I am not an attorney, and I don't provide legal advice. Every HOA is different. This information may not pertain to you. It's important to talk with your ARB and clearly communicate what you are trying to accomplish to see if it is allowed in your own community. Number 1, harvesting rainwater. Some HOAs are particular about the location in which you place a rain barrel. Some HOAs don't allow them at all. You may want to consider asking your board if you can place a 5-gallon bucket under a downspout as an alternative way to collect rainwater. Assuming you have permission to harvest rainwater, you might use empty milk jugs to store the water. Simply submerge the milk jugs one at a time inside the bucket to fill them. The white plastic almond milk jugs are great because they are made from a sturdier plastic. And the screw-on cap helps prevent mosquitoes from laying eggs on the water and also makes the water easily portable. Folks ask about the water sitting in the bucket. They make lids that fit these 5-gallon buckets. If you are not emptying the bucket frequently, you might consider using one of those lids to prevent mosquitoes from laying eggs on the surface of the water. You might want to paint the bucket. A mute green color is nice. Brown and tan work too. Something to that effect blends in nicely with most any landscape or home. Number 2, wildlife gardening. Native landscaping does not mean messy or that your yard will draw unnecessary attention. The key is to rethink your idea of what it means to design a wildlife garden. For example, instead of planting a standard podocarpus hedge, consider asking your HOA board if you can plant a row of firebush. Hummingbirds love this Florida native flowering shrub. Each HOA is different, but if you happen to have a more relaxed community, ask them if you might be able to add a little variety and create a mixed hedge. Perhaps they will allow you to add sweet almond bush and American beautyberry. Sweet almond is Florida friendly and a crowd pleaser among the bees. And birds enjoy the fruit on the American beautyberry. Instead of planting mondo grass to line or edge the walkway, you might consider asking your board if you can plant coontie. Coontie is a small, inconspicuous green plant that won't draw attention. However, it's actually an incredible wildlife plant. It's prehistoric and Florida's only native cycad. It's also a host plant for the Atala butterfly. So if you see caterpillars on this plant, don't worry, you're helping the pollinators. Number 3, vegetable gardening. I've heard some states are trying to ease rules and restrictions when it comes to edible gardening in an HOA. I am not going to get into this any further because I am not an attorney, but consider talking to your board, do some research, and see what you find. Growing food in an HOA is similar to creating a wildlife or pollinator garden in an HOA. Your vegetable garden must be approved with your board, just like your wildlife garden, but assuming you've done that, a vegetable garden does not need to scream, "I'm a vegetable garden." In my opinion, skip the raised bed and don't plant in rows. Because assuming your food garden is approved by your board, you might still run into issues with neighbors who don't appreciate what you're trying to accomplish. I find with a lot of this stuff, it's not the plants, but rather how they are planted that makes neighbors grumpy. If all the neighbors hate you, it doesn't really matter if the HOA has approved your garden. A great example of this is sweet potatoes. Ornamental sweet potatoes look stunning planted in hanging baskets and decorative pots. You might consider asking your board if you can grow edible sweet potatoes in a decorative pot instead of ornamental. It still looks like a vine above ground. The difference being, of course, that the root tuber of the edible sweet potato vine is edible. Another good example is muscadine grapes. This is a vining plant that loves to climb, and the fruits are edible. You might consider asking your board if you can add it to a decorative trellis. Just be sure to keep up with trimming and pruning so that it continues to look nice. Number 4, craving privacy? Trellises might be a good option. They help transform even the tiniest space into a private sanctuary. You don't need a formal yard to do this. You don't need a private backyard or even a front yard for that matter. Rethink your existing landscape beds. Even if you just have a few landscape beds that run the length of your home, you can create a trellis garden in a space as small as 7 feet by 5 feet. On the outside of the trellises, the part the community would see, you might consider planting something that provides a clean, cohesive look, such as Confederate jasmine vines. On the inside of the trellises, consider asking your board if you can have a little more flexibility to plant other vines and flowers. Once again, every HOA is different, so it's important to consult with yours before making any changes and let them know what you intend to remove and plant during the process. They'll probably want you to submit plans, and of course you'll need their approval before you do anything. Number 5, feeders. Traditional bird feeders and hummingbird feeders are not allowed in many HOAs, including my own. I'm actually with the HOA on this one. We aren't doing the birds any favors here. These feeders can spread disease. And let's be honest, none of us are cleaning them as frequently as we should. Plus, if your community allows it, it's a fun challenge to bring wildlife in by growing the plants they enjoy. I feel so fulfilled when a hummingbird visits my salvia or firebush. It's like unlocking a new level of garden mastery. Now, when you're a gardener in an HOA, sometimes you gotta take one for the team. Make friends, and it might go a long way. Consider offering to weed the community bed. Ask your board if you can buy a few bags of mulch, on your own dime, and freshen up the planting bed at the main entrance. It will make a massive difference and will cost you very little. These are simple things you can do for little to no money that show that you care and are invested in your community. It helps to have allies. Just be sure to ask your board for permission before volunteering to help. Okay, before we wrap things up, I have some big news I want to share. I have an Amazon garden shop now. Essentially, I created a page on my own website with real pictures of my stuff and included links to purchase the same or similar item via Amazon.com. I'm an Amazon affiliate now, so when you purchase using my link, I receive a small commission. It helps support the show, and there's no additional cost to you. So if you want to check that out, you can head over to my website, rootsredefined.com. That's Roots, R-O-O-T-S, redefined, R-E-D-E-F-I-N-E-D.com. All right, thanks so much, guys. We'll see you again soon.